The storm clouds gathered over Port Haven like uninvited guests at a tense reunion, casting long shadows on the rugged cliffs where Julian Carver's attic apartment perched precariously. His phone vibrated insistently on the rickety nightstand, pulling him from a fitful sleep. "Who the hell is this?" Julian grumbled, his voice gravelly, eyes squeezed shut against the intrusive glow of the screen. In his mind, he'd already unleashed a torrent of curses at the unknown caller for daring to disrupt his hard-earned solitude. "Jules, I miss you so much it hurts." The voice on the other end purred, familiar and laced with the unmistakable slur of one too many glasses of wine. Julian bolted upright, his heart slamming against his ribs as he glanced at the caller ID, Lila. A name he'd tried, and failed, to erase from his life. He let out a deep, resigned sigh, the weight of their shared history pressing down on him like the humid air before a downpour. "You've been drinking again, haven't you?" he said, more statement than question, rubbing the sleep from his eyes with the back of his hand. "Just a little to take the edge off," Lila admitted, her words tumbling out in a lazy drawl. "Come pick me up, Jules. I don't want anyone else. Only you can make this right." Julian pinched the bridge of his nose, frustration bubbling up. "I'll call Mara. She can get you home safe." "No." Lila's voice cracked, shifting from seductive to desperate in an instant. "I want you, sweetheart. Please, don't make me beg." "Lila, we broke up. This has to stop," Julian replied, his tone edged with the exhaustion of repeated battles. "I never agreed to that. I never wanted it." Her seduction evaporated, replaced by choking sobs that echoed through the phone. "I was wrong, Jules. So wrong. Can we start over? I'll listen to you, I promise. Just like in the beginning, when everything was perfect." For a fleeting moment, Julian's resolve wavered. He remembered the early days, their stolen kisses under the lantern-lit pier, the way her laughter had lit up his world like fireworks. But then the darker memories flooded in, her constant dismissals, the way she'd hidden their relationship from her high society friends, treating him like a secret she was ashamed of. "Where are you?" "I'm sending Mara, and that's final." Sensing the steel in his voice, Lila's tone turned fragile, trembling like a leaf in the wind. "Is there really no hope for us? Nothing left?" Julian's silence stretched, a chasm between them. "One last time," she pleaded, her voice raw with emotion. "Can I see you? Just to say goodbye properly." He hesitated, knowing all too well Lila's talent for turning small dramas into full-blown spectacles. What if she did something reckless? "Fine. Way." "The pier by the old lighthouse," she said, a flicker of triumph sneaking into her words. "I'll be waiting, Jules. Don't make me wait long." "Stay put. I'm on my way." He hung up, tossing the phone aside with a curse. Why couldn't he just let go? Out on the pier, the waves crashed against the weathered wood like accusations, and Lila Vance clutched the faded photograph in her trembling hands. It was from their art school graduation festival, captured under a canopy of glowing lanterns that had turned the night into a dreamscape. Julian's arm was draped around her shoulders, his smile genuine and warm, while hers held a hint of the superiority she'd always felt. A single tear traced a path down her cheek as she stared at it, the memories rushing back like a tide. They'd met in her sophomore year, during a chaotic painting workshop where she'd accidentally knocked over a jar of turpentine onto his canvas. He'd just laughed, those deep blue eyes sparkling with amusement, and boldly asked for her number. Lila, with her pedigree of wealth and connections, had pegged him as a charming but unremarkable small-town boy, talented with a brush, sure, but lacking the polish she craved in her circle. She'd turned him down flat. But Julian was nothing if not persistent, popping up at her favorite seaside cafe, lingering after gallery shows, until his quiet determination wore her down. She gave him her number, thinking it harmless fun. From there, he became her shadow, devoted and unwavering. He wasn't from money, His family ran a modest fishing boat repair shop back in Bayview, but he treated her like royalty. For 5 years, he was her secret admirer, her rock. It was only when her parents started hounding her about settling down that she elevated him to boyfriend status. Deep down, though, Lila had always looked down on him, refusing to post their photos on social media, dodging introductions to her elite friends. Their arguments were frequent fireworks, over her secrecy, his humble origins. But whenever things heated up, Lila would pull her trump card, threatening to end it all. Julian would always back down, wrapping her in apologies and affection until she relented. The final blow came over something trivial, a missed art exhibit where she'd expected him to play the perfect arm candy. Words were exchanged, sharp and unforgiving. The next morning, a note on her nightstand. I'm tired of chasing what doesn't want to be caught. Goodbye. Lila had rolled her eyes, convinced it was a bluff. But as days turned to weeks, his absence became a void. His texts went unanswered, her calls blocked. She'd spend hours gazing at that Lantern Festival photo, the only tangible proof of their time together. Desperate, she'd begged her best friend Mara to dig up his new number from an old mutual contact, leading to this midnight plea. Snapped from her reverie by a gentle tap on her shoulder, Lila whirled around, her heart leaping. Jules! She wiped at her eyes furiously, but the tears kept coming, mixing with the misty sea spray. You actually came, she whispered, her voice hoarse and vulnerable, a sound that sent a reluctant pang through Julian's chest. Let's get you home, he said curtly, his face schooled into neutrality. He nodded toward his motorcycle, its engine still ticking from the ride. Lila nodded, climbing on behind him without protest. As they roared through the winding coastal roads, the town's lights streaking by like shooting stars, she wrapped her arms tightly around his waist, burying her face in his back. The familiar scent of sea salt and paint thinner clung to him, stirring a whirlwind of emotions she tried to bury. By the time they pulled up to her upscale apartment overlooking the harbor, Lila had drifted into a drunken slumber, her tears leaving dark stains on his jacket. Julian sighed, scooping her up in a bridal carry, old habits dying hard, and rang the doorbell. Her mother, Beatrice Wren, answered, her elegant features lighting up in surprise. Julian! My goodness, it's been ages. Come in, come in. Evening, Mrs. Wren, Julian said, stepping inside the lavish foyer with its crystal chandeliers and ocean view windows. Just making sure she gets home safe. Beatrice glanced at her daughter's peaceful face and waved him toward the bedroom. Lay her down, dear. And stay for a chat? Henry's in the living room. Julian hesitated but complied, gently placing Lila on her silk-sheeted bed. As he turned to leave, Henry's voice boomed from down the hall. Julian, my boy, join us for a moment. Seated on the plush sofa, Julian shifted uncomfortably under their gazes. Mr. and Mrs. Wren, good to see you. Henry, a robust man with a commanding presence from years in shipping magnate circles, smiled warmly. You've been scarce lately. Everything all right with you and Lila? Julian forced a chuckle. Just a little spat. Didn't want to impose. Beatrice leaned forward, her eyes kind but probing. Relationships have ups and downs, Julian. But walking away isn't the answer. Lila's been different without you. Lost. Julian stared at his hands, the calluses from his warehouse job a stark contrast to the room's luxury. Henry cleared his throat. Why not stay the night? The guest room's ready, and it's pouring out there. No, I couldn't, Julian said, standing. Early shift tomorrow. But thank you. As he left, Beatrice turned to Henry with a sigh. She's heartbroken, Henry. I've never seen her like this. Henry nodded thoughtfully. Lila's always been headstrong, our little princess. probably took him for granted. But that boy's got a good heart. He deserves better than being her backup plan. Beatrice shot him a glare. She's our daughter. How can you say that? Upstairs, Lila, who had stirred awake and cracked her door open, overheard every word. Her parents' honesty hit like a slap, forcing her to confront the truth she'd avoided. She treated Julian like an option, not a priority. Tears welled anew as she vowed to change, if he'd give her the chance. The next morning, Julian trudged into the warehouse, the scent of salt and diesel hanging heavy in the air. He clocked in at the last second, earning a teasing grin from his supervisor, Theo. Cutting it close again. Carver? Trying to avoid overtime. Rough night, Julian muttered, slumping at his desk amid stacks of shipping manifests. His coworker, Elise, a bubbly graphic designer in the office, leaned over with her usual flirtatious smile. Hey, Jules. Dinner tonight? My treat. Maybe that new seafood place by the pier. Julian shook his head, not meeting her eyes. Can't. Broke, and honestly, not in the mood. Elise pouted, her crush on him no secret. She'd been drawn to his brooding artist vibe since she started, dropping hints he always deflected. Come on. It'll be fun. What's your type? Anyway? Maybe I fit the bill. He sighed. Elise, I've told you, I'm not looking. Please drop it. Theo clapped his hands, drawing the team's attention. Listen up. New manager starts today. Be on your A-game. We don't want to scare him off. The office erupted in whispers. New manager? What happened to old Mr. Grimes? Probably a corporate hotshot parachuting in. Julian tuned it out, burying himself in paperwork. But when Theo returned, escorting a stunning woman in a tailored suit, Julian's world tilted. It was Lila, her presence commanding the room like a masterpiece in a gallery. She'd pulled every string her father had, connections in the shipping industry, to secure the general manager position, a calculated move to force her way back into Julian's life. Striding confidently to his desk, she smiled, her eyes locking on his. Hello, darling. Miss me? The warehouse fell silent, jaws dropping. Elise's face twisted in jealousy, assuming Julian had been playing her all along. He ignored Lila, his fingers flying over the keyboard as if she were a ghost. Lila didn't falter, following Theo to her new office. The moment she was out of sight, his colleagues swarmed. Julian, you're dating the new boss? Dude, hook us up with some perks. She's not my girlfriend, Julian hissed. She's complicated. Drop it. Elise, eyes brimming, leaned in. You lied to me, Julian. You said you were single. I am, he snapped. And I've rejected you clearly. This isn't about you. As the day dragged on, tension simmered. Lila emerged periodically, her gaze lingering on Julian, but he avoided her like a storm cloud. By quitting time, as Julian revved his motorcycle, Lila appeared, wrapping her arms around him from behind. Taking my man home. We're over, Lila, he said, prying her off. This is just your pride talking. You can't stand being dumped by someone like me. I never agreed to break up, she countered, climbing on stubbornly. And I'm not letting go. Defeated for the moment, Julian drove to his cramped studio apartment, a far cry from her luxury. The single room was cluttered with half-finished sketches and takeout containers, the air thick with the scent of turpentine. This is where you live now? Lila asked, wrinkling her nose but trying to hide her shock. See? I'm not good enough for your world, Julian said, dumping a pile of laundry into the sink. Lila sat on the bed, then lay back, watching him with a mix of regret and longing. She envisioned a future, them painting together, raising a family in a home filled with laughter and art. I'm not leaving, Jules. This is my home now, with you. His phone rang, breaking the tension. Mom? What's wrong? Grace's voice was weary. It's your dad again, Jules. The hospital bills are piling up. The doctor prescribed new meds, and we're short. Julian's face paled. I'll send money right away. How much? 3,000, if you can manage, Grace said, her voice cracking. I hate asking, son. It's been so hard on you. It's okay, Mom. Dad's going to be fine. I'll visit soon. He hung up, immediately texting Theo. Need a loan, $3,000. Pay you back next month. Theo replied instantly, Venmo'd. No rush, buddy. Lila, who'd been eavesdropping, frowned. Your dad's in the hospital? Why didn't you ask me for help? I have the money. Julian gave a bitter laugh. Because it's not your problem anymore. And I don't want your pity. Unsatisfied, Lila pressed. When are you going home? I'll come with you. He ignored her, hanging the wet clothes to dry. A knock at the door, his DoorDash order. As he stepped out to grab it, Lila snatched his phone, finding Mom in his contacts and dialing. Hello? Jules. Grace answered. Hi, Mrs. Carver. This is Lila, Julian's girlfriend. We're planning to visit soon. Julian returned, seeing red. He lunged for the phone, but heard his mom's excited voice. Lila? Oh, wonderful. But Jules, why didn't you tell me? And don't you dare mistreat her. I raised you better. Mom, I'll call back, Julian said, hanging up. He glared at Lila. What the hell? Stay out of my life. Your password's still my birthday, she said softly, a sly smile creeping in. You haven't forgotten me. Julian opened the takeout container, eating in stony silence. Lila crept behind him, wrapping her arms around his neck, her breath warm on his ear. Jules, I'm sorry. I'll never threaten to leave again. Forgive me. I know I was wrong. He shrugged her off. Get up. I'm going out. Her temper flared, the old princess emerging. What do you want from me, Julian? I've laid it all out. He spun, anger matching hers. We're broken up. Stop ruining my peace. Storming out, Julian bought a pack of cigarettes, his first in months, and smoked on the stoop, the nicotine calming his racing thoughts. They were from different worlds, her glamour, his grit. This pursuit felt like a game to salve her ego, not genuine love. But returning later, seeing her asleep with tear-streaked cheeks, his heart ached. This was the woman he'd loved for 6 years, his muse and his torment. Gently, he wiped her tears, his touch lingering. I can't go back to that exhaustion, he whispered. I'm afraid it'll destroy me. Quietly, he booked a bus ticket to Bayview for the next day, packing a small duffel. Slipping out into the night, he caught a cab to the terminal, leaving Port Haven and Lila behind. Lila woke to an empty apartment, panic rising. She dialed his number. The number you have reached is no longer in service. Trying again yielded the same robotic message. Julian, where are you? She whimpered, curling into a ball and sobbing. After what felt like hours, she called Mara. He's gone, Mara. He blocked me. He doesn't want me anymore. Mara's heart broke for her friend. Don't cry, Lila. You found him before. You can do it again. I'll ask around for his family's address in Bayview. Go after him. You deserve happiness. Okay, Lila sniffled. Thank you. The next day, Julian arrived in Bayview, the quaint Ohio town where the lakeshore met rolling hills. He headed straight to the hospital, where his father, Owen, lay recovering from a persistent heart condition. "Dad, you look stronger," Julian said, forcing a smile as he entered the room. Owen chuckled weakly. "I'm hanging in there, son. Your mom says you've got a girl coming to visit. Where is she?" Before Julian could explain, the door burst open. Lila stood there, disheveled from the rushed trip, eyes blazing. "Why did you block me? Why run away?" Owen's eyes widened. "What's going on here?" "Dad, we need to talk outside," Julian said, grabbing Lila's arm and pulling her into the hallway. "How did you find me?" "Mara helped," she said defiantly. "Julian, what do I have to do to prove I'm serious?" He laughed bitterly. "We're not a match, Lila. I'm not from your world. I can't give you the life you want. I'm done playing games. I want stability, a family. Let me go." Lila reached into her bag, pulling out her birth certificate with trembling hands. "Then let's make it official. City Hall, right now. I'm not playing, Julian. I love you. I'm terrified of losing you forever." Her vulnerability cracked his walls. She threw herself into his arms, sobbing. "Yesterday, I thought about ending it all. The thought of never seeing you again. It broke me. Please, love me again." Julian's arms wrapped around her slowly, hesitantly. "You have to promise. No more threats. No more hiding us." I promise," she whispered, her body shaking. "I'll shout it from the rooftops." As she calmed, Julian led her back inside. "Mom, Dad, this is Lila." Grace rushed over, enveloping her in a hug. "Oh, she's beautiful. But Julian, you made her cry. Shame on you." Lila laughed through her tears. "It was my fault, Mrs. Carver. I've been foolish." Over the next few days in Bayview, they reconnected amid the simple rhythms of small-town life. Julian showed Lila his childhood haunts, the lakeside where he'd first sketched, the family workshop smelling of oil and wood. She met his friends, charmed his parents, and for the first time, felt the warmth of genuine acceptance without judgment. But doubts lingered. Lila caught Julian staring at her sometimes, as if waiting for the other shoe to drop. Back in Port Haven, Beatrice's face lit up seeing them hand in hand. "Julian, welcome back." At dinner, Henry raised a glass. "We've always liked you, son. When do our families meet?" "Once Dad's discharged," Julian said. "But sir, my family's situation, it's modest." Henry waved it off. "We have one daughter, Julian. After you marry, everything's yours. Just one condition, never let her down." "I won't," Julian vowed, squeezing Lila's hand. The next day at work, they arrived together on his motorcycle, Lila's arms wrapped possessively around him. Elise stormed up, jealousy flaring. "Julian, you and her? I'm younger, prettier, why not me?" Lila's eyes narrowed. "Young lady, this is my fiancé. Have some respect." Elise burst into tears and fled. Later, they submitted resignations, Lila to avoid conflicts, Julian to pursue his art full-time with her support. He repaid Theo, and life seemed to settle. But years later, as Lila cradled their newborn daughter in their harborside home, watching Julian wash tiny clothes with a contented smile, a new spark ignited. That night, after putting the baby to sleep, Lila pulled him into their bedroom, the lantern light from the festival replica outside casting golden hues on their skin. "Jules," she whispered, her fingers tracing his jaw, "I've never stopped wanting you." He pulled her close, his kiss fierce and hungry, reigniting the passion they'd nearly lost. Clothes fell away as they tumbled onto the bed, bodies entwining in a dance of forgiveness and desire. Whispers turned to moans, the years of tension exploding in waves of ecstasy. "I love you," Julian gasped, his hands exploring her with renewed fervor. "And are you?" Lila replied, arching against him, their connection deeper than ever. But as they lay spent, tangled in sheets, a shadow crossed Julian's face. "Promise me this is real, Lila. No more games." She kissed him softly. "Forever, my love. But life's full of surprises. Let's face them together." Outside, the lanterns swayed in the breeze, symbolizing their enduring flame. One that had flickered but now burned brighter, spiced with the heat of hard-won love and the promise of passionate tomorrows. Yet, in the quiet moments, Julian wondered if old habits would resurface, adding a thrilling edge to their happily ever after.